First Contact's Aftermath. The Nexus research vessel Eternal Seeker drifted through the debris field, its sensors working overtime to analyze the wreckage. Chief Researcher Varnthal pressed her four-fingered hand against the observation dome, mandibles clicking in distress as she studied the destruction before her. The remnants of the hegemony's Third Fleet, or what was left of it, painted a grim picture of power beyond comprehension. Analysis complete, Chief, her assistant Kex announced, his crystalline form shimming with anxiety. The molecular degradation patterns are impossible. The hull fragments show signs of simultaneous existence in multiple quantum states before complete structural failure. Varnthal turned from the viewport, her compound eyes reflecting the holographic data streaming before her. Impossible is becoming a common word since the humans revealed their new warship. How many vessels were lost? 47 capital ships, over 200 support vessels. The entire Third Fleet, gone in less than 6 minutes. The silence that followed was heavy with implication. The hegemony had ruled this sector for 10,000 years, their technological superiority unquestioned. Until now. Until humanity had unveiled something that shouldn't exist. Show me the sensor logs again, Varnthal ordered, moving to the central display. The hologram flickered to life, showing the battle from multiple angles. The hegemony fleet appeared first, their formation perfect as always. Then, nothing. No warning, no energy spike. A human warship simply appeared in their midst, as if it had always been there. The vessel defied conventional design. Where hegemony ships were angular and imposing, this human craft seemed to flow like liquid metal, its hull rippling with patterns that hurt to look at directly. Before the hegemony fleet could react, reality itself seemed to bend around the human ship. Ships began to vanish, not exploding or breaking apart, but simply ceasing to exist in some places while existing too much in others. Pause playback, Varnthal commanded. Kex, what do we know about human technological development prior to this? Kex's crystalline structure pulsed with blue light as he accessed their database. Limited, they were considered a Level 3 civilization, barely capable of efficient interstellar travel. Their ships used conventional fusion drives and basic shield technology. Nothing that could explain this. Varnthal chittered thoughtfully. And yet here we are, analyzing the aftermath of their impossible ship. The hegemony will demand answers. Chief, one of her junior researchers called out, I'm detecting an anomaly at the edge of the debris field. Energy signatures similar to the ones recorded during the battle. Every being on the bridge froze. Varnthal's antennae twitched as she processed this information. Prepare for emergency translation. If that ship appears. She never finished her sentence. The human warship materialized before them, closer than any vessel should have been able to approach without detection. Up close, it was even more disturbing. The hull seemed to exist in layers, each one operating according to different physical laws. Patterns of light crawled across its surface like living things, forming and dissolving in ways that made Varnthal's scientific mind scream in protest. We are receiving a transmission, Kex announced, his crystalline form vibrating with tension. Play it. A human voice, calm and courteous, filled the bridge. Nexus research vessel Eternal Seeker. This is the UES Einstein's dream. We notice you're conducting research on the recent engagement. We'd be happy to provide you with more accurate data for your analysis. Varnthal's mandibles clicked rapidly, her species equivalent of nervous laughter. The casualness of the communication, as if they weren't piloting a vessel that had just rewritten the rules of space combat, was typically human. Einstein's dream. This is Chief Researcher Varnthal. We would be most interested in your data. She paused, gathering her courage. Though I must ask, how did you achieve quantum state manipulation on this scale? The energy requirements alone should be impossible. The human's voice carried what seemed to be amusement. That's why we named her Einstein's dream. He once said that imagination is more important than knowledge. We simply imagined a different way to approach the problems of space, time, and reality itself. As Varnfell watched, portions of the human vessel seemed to phase in and out of existence, each transition accompanied by subtle distortions in the fabric of space-time. Her sensors were recording everything, though she wondered if they could truly capture what she was seeing. "The hegemony will see this as a threat," she said carefully. "They are not accustomed to technological superiority from younger species." "We know," the human replied, their voice now serious. "That's precisely why we revealed the Einstein's dream in this way. The hegemony needed to understand that the old rules no longer apply. Humanity won't be contained or controlled. We've learned to dream bigger than that." The implications were clear. Humanity hadn't just built a superior warship. They'd created something that fundamentally changed the balance of power in the galaxy. The hegemony's 10,000 years of dominance had ended not with a prolonged war, but with a 6-minute demonstration of human ingenuity. "I'm transmitting our data package now," the human continued. "You'll find our preliminary research on quantum state manipulation particularly interesting. Consider it a gesture of good faith between scientists." Varnfell watched as the data streamed into their systems. Even a cursory glance showed theoretical work that would revolutionize their understanding of physics. "This is extremely generous of you. Knowledge should be shared, Chief Researcher. That's something else we believe in. Though you might want to wait a few days before publishing your findings. The hegemony will be processing this new reality for a while." The human warship began to fade from view, not like a vessel engaging stealth systems, but like something choosing to exist slightly adjacent to normal spacetime. Before it vanished completely, the human added one final comment. "Oh, and Chief Researcher, Einstein's dream isn't our only new ship. She's just the first we chose to reveal. Sweet dreams." As the human vessel disappeared completely, Varnfell stared at the space where it had been, her mind racing with implications. The data they'd been given would advance their understanding of physics by centuries, but the warning in that final message was clear. Humanity was no longer playing by anyone else's rules. "Kex," she said quietly, "prepare a priority transmission to the Science Council, and perhaps include a suggestion that we review our classification of human civilization. Level 3 seems somewhat inadequate now." As her team began analyzing the new data, Varnfell couldn't help but wonder what other impossible dreams humanity had turned into reality. The galaxy was about to become a very different place, and all because humans had refused to accept the limitations everyone else took for granted. The age of the hegemony was over. The age of human imagination had begun. The ghost in the void. Grand Admiral Ixel of the Hegemony Defense Force stood before the High Council, his scales dulled with exhaustion. The chamber's ancient crystalline walls, usually glowing with calm blue light, pulsed an angry red that matched the Council's mood. The loss of the Third Fleet had shaken the hegemony to its core. "Explain to us, Admiral," First Speaker Nax Toll demanded, "how a single human vessel could destroy our most advanced fleet without suffering a single hit." Ixel's throat sac expanded slightly, a sign of discomfort among his species. "The vessel, which we now know as Einstein's dream, appears to operate on principles that violate our understanding of physics. Our weapons couldn't target it effectively because it existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously." "Impossible," another council member hissed. "Even our most advanced theoretical work suggests such manipulation would require energy equal to several stars." "And yet," Ixel responded, activating a holographic display, "we have confirmation from multiple sources." The Nexus research vessel Eternal Seeker provided detailed scans of the human vessel, along with theoretical data supplied by the humans themselves. The council chamber erupted in angry mutters. The idea that humans would freely share such revolutionary technology was almost as disturbing as the technology itself. It spoke of confidence, or arrogance, beyond measure. "There's more," Ixel continued, his scales shifting to a deeper shade of gray. "We've received reports from across the galaxy. The Einstein's dream isn't the only such vessel humanity has constructed. Multiple sightings suggest at least 3 other ships of similar design are operating in different sectors. The holographic display showed footage from various sources, a human vessel appearing inside a supposedly secure military installation, another phasing through an asteroid field as if solid matter was merely a suggestion, a third seemingly bending space itself to travel impossible distances instantly. They're demonstrating their superiority. First speaker next Tull observed, their primary eyes narrowing. But why? Why now? Humanity has been content to remain in their small corner of space for centuries. A new voice joined the conversation. Venra, the Council's chief scientist. Perhaps that was by choice rather than limitation. Our latest analysis of the data provided to the Eternal Seeker suggests humanity has been developing this technology for at least 50 years. They didn't just make a breakthrough. They've been methodically working toward this moment. The implication sent a chill through the chamber. The hegemony had dismissed humanity as a young, barely spacefaring race. The idea that they had been quietly revolutionizing physics while appearing primitive was terrifying. We've also detected unusual quantum disturbances throughout our territory, Ixel added. At first, we thought they were natural phenomena, but their pattern suggests otherwise. The humans aren't just showing us their new ships. They're mapping our response capabilities. The council chamber's lighting shifted to a deeper red. First speaker next Tull rose from their seat, their massive form casting shadows across the assembly. What are our options? Militarily. Ixel's scales rippled with dark patterns. Limited. Our weapons are useless against ships that can manipulate their quantum state at will. But there's something else that concerns me more than their military advantage. He manipulated the holographic display, showing economic and political data from across the galaxy. The mere existence of these ships has already begun reshaping galactic politics. 3 minor species have requested protective alliances with humanity. Trade routes are being redrawn to avoid hegemony space. The collective of free worlds is discussing opening their borders to human merchants. They're dismantling our influence without firing a shot. Venray observed, their tentacles writhing with agitation. The technology alone would be enough to shift the balance of power, but they're wielding it with remarkable sophistication. A junior council member spoke up, their voice trembling. Perhaps we should consider diplomatic options, if the humans are willing to share their technology and admit our inferiority. First speaker next Tull thundered. The hegemony has ruled this sector since before humans learned to make fire. And yet, Venray interjected softly, they have surpassed us. The question isn't whether to acknowledge this fact, but how to adapt to it. The chamber fell silent as a new hologram appeared, a real-time transmission showing another human vessel, similar to the Einstein's dream, but somehow even more unsettling in its design. This one seemed to bend light around it in impossible ways, its hull a contradiction of patterns and shapes that defied analysis. This transmission is being broadcast across all standard frequencies, Ixel reported. They're not hiding. They want us to see. The human ship hung in space like a dream-given form, a testament to what was possible when imagination exceeded the boundaries of conventional physics. As the council watched, it performed a series of maneuvers that should have torn any normal vessel apart, phasing through solid matter, appearing in multiple locations simultaneously, bending space itself to its will. They're not just showing us their technology, Venra whispered, their scientific mind both terrified and fascinated. They're showing us that everything we thought we knew about the universe was just the beginning. The humans haven't just built better ships. They've discovered a whole new way of thinking about reality itself. First speaker next Tull sank back into their chair, suddenly looking very old. How do we fight an enemy that can rewrite the laws of physics at will? Perhaps, Venra suggested, we should be asking a different question. Why are they giving us every opportunity to avoid a fight? The council chamber's lighting gradually shifted back to blue as the implications of that question sank in. The humans weren't just demonstrating their power, they were offering a choice. The age of hegemony dominance was over. but perhaps something new could take its place. As if in response to their thoughts, the human vessel and the hologram performed one final impossible maneuver before disappearing in a way that made several council members' sensory organs ache. The message was clear. The galaxy's rules had changed, and humanity was offering to teach others how to play this new game, if they were willing to learn. Project Horizon. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of the Titan Research Station, watching her life's work take shape in the sprawling construction yards below. 25 years ago, she'd been a graduate student with an impossible theory about quantum state manipulation. Now she was witnessing the completion of humanity's fourth quantum phase vessel. Hard to believe it all started with a failed experiment. A familiar voice said behind her. Dr. James Martinez, her longtime colleague and friend, joined her at the viewport. Sarah smiled, remembering that day in the basement lab of MIT. Failed experiments often lead to the best discoveries. We were trying to stabilize quantum states for computing, and instead, we discovered how to make an entire ship exist in multiple states simultaneously, James finished. Though I still remember how many people called us crazy when we first proposed scaling up the experiment. The ship under construction below them seemed to shimmer, its hull already incorporating the quantum phase technology that had revolutionized human understanding of physics. Unlike the Einstein's dream and its siblings, this vessel was larger, designed not just for demonstration, but for exploration. Director Chen, a young engineer, interrupted, hurrying onto the observation deck. The latest simulations are complete. The quantum field stability is exceeding expectations by 47%. Sarah nodded, unsurprised. The hegemony's data on space-time curvature helped refine our models. Their scientists have been surprisingly cooperative since the demonstration. Fear is a powerful motivator, James observed dryly. Though I prefer to think they're finally recognizing the benefits of collaboration. Sarah turned from the viewport to review the simulation data on a nearby holographic display. The numbers confirmed what they'd theorized decades ago. Reality was far more flexible than anyone had imagined. The key wasn't forcing it to bend, but understanding how to work with its natural malleability. Do you ever regret keeping this secret for so long? James asked quietly. We could have revealed this technology years ago. Sarah's expression grew thoughtful. Humanity needed time to mature. 25 years ago, we might have used this technology to dominate the galaxy. Now, she gestured to the various alien scientists visible on the lower levels of the station, working alongside human researchers. Now we're ready to share it, to help everyone advance. A subtle vibration ran through the station as the quantum phase drive of the ship below powered up for testing. The sight still filled Sarah with wonder. The way space itself seemed to ripple around the vessel, the beautiful impossibility of matter existing in multiple states at once. Message from Fleet Command. The station's AI announced. The Einstein's dream has successfully completed its diplomatic mission to the collective of free worlds. 7 more species have requested technology sharing agreements. James grinned. Remember when we thought we were just building better ships? Instead, we're reshaping galactic society. That was always the real goal, Sarah replied, pulling up another set of data streams. The ships were just the beginning. Quantum phase technology can be applied to everything from medicine to environmental restoration. We're not just changing how we travel through space, we're changing how we interact with reality itself. The observation deck's displays, filled with images from across human space, hospitals using quantum phase technology to heal previously incurable conditions, terraforming projects achieving in months what once took decades, energy production systems that tapped into the quantum fabric of space itself. The hegemony still thinks this is just about military power, a new voice added. Admiral Laura Hayes, the military liaison to Project Horizon, stepped onto the deck. Let them. While they're focused on our ships, we're quietly revolutionizing every aspect of galactic civilization. Sarah nodded. That's why we revealed the technology the way we did. The Einstein's dream and its sister ships were never meant to be weapons. They're teachers. Each demonstration shows another possibility, another way of thinking about what's possible. Through the viewport, the new ship's quantum field fluctuated in a test pattern, creating a cascade of reality-bending effects that would have seemed like magic just a few decades ago. But Sarah knew it wasn't magic. It was simply humanity pushing past the boundaries of what everyone else had assumed was impossible. Latest report from the Cultural Integration Team, the AI announced. Educational programs on quantum physics are now being broadcast to over 300 alien worlds. Application rates for the Joint Research Initiative have increased by 300%. And that, Sarah said with satisfaction, is how you really change the galaxy. Not through force, but through understanding. We're not just showing them new technology. We're showing them new ways to dream. The ship below them completed its test sequence, its quantum field stabilizing into a pattern that seemed to dance on the edge of perception. Sarah remembered the early days of the project, the countless failures and setbacks, the moments of doubt. But humanity had persevered, driven by that uniquely human combination of curiosity, determination, and the ability to imagine something better. New contact from the Hegemony Council, the AI reported. They're requesting permission to send a delegation of their top physics students to the next quantum theory symposium. Sarah, James, and Admiral Hayes exchanged knowing looks. This was how real change happened, not through the dramatic demonstrations of the quantum phase ships, but through the quiet spread of knowledge and understanding. Permission granted, Sarah replied, and send them the preliminary data on our latest breakthrough. It's time they understood that this is just the beginning. As she watched the quantum phase ship below begin another test sequence, Sarah thought about that failed experiment 25 years ago, and all that had followed. Humanity had done more than build impossible ships. They had opened the door to a new age of discovery and cooperation. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what they had hoped for all along. The breaking point. The emergency alert ripped through every quantum communications channel in human space. Fleet Admiral Michael Torres stood on the bridge of the Einstein's dream, watching as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Hegemony's conservative faction had made their move, and it was bolder than anyone had anticipated. Status report, he commanded, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. 6 Hegemony battle groups have launched simultaneous attacks on research stations across 3 sectors. His XO, Commander Diana Wells, reported. They're using some kind of experimental weapon technology. Early reports suggest they're attempting to create localized quantum state collapse zones. Torres's jaw tightened. The Hegemony hardliners have been watching, learning, and apparently developing countermeasures to quantum phase technology. It was exactly the kind of response Dr. Chen's team had feared, attempting to fight the new technology instead of understanding its true potential. What about the civilian evacuation ships? He asked, studying the tactical display. The Hegemony forces are blocking their escape vectors. They're trying to force a military confrontation. Diana's voice carried a note of concern. Sir, if they succeed in creating those quantum collapse zones, they think they can neutralize our advantage. Torres finished. Force us to fight on their terms. He turned to the quantum communications officer. Get me a direct line to Dr. Chen at Titan Station. The holographic projection of Sarah Chen appeared moments later, her expression grim. We saw the reports, Admiral. They're using a perverted version of our early quantum stabilization research. If they miscalculate, they could tear holes in the fabric of space-time itself, Torres concluded. Can the Einstein's dream counter it? Theoretically, yes. The ship's quantum field can be modified to neutralize their collapse zones. But Sarah hesitated. It would require precisely calculated phase shifts. One mistake, and you could accelerate the collapse instead of stopping it. Torres nodded, having already made his decision. Upload the calculations to our systems. And Sarah, whatever happens, continue with the knowledge-sharing initiative. That's more important than any battle. As the hologram faded, Torres turned to his crew. Battle stations. But remember, our priority is protecting the civilian ships and research stations. We're not here to win a war. We're here to show them a better way. The Einstein's dream moved into position, its quantum field already adapting to the new parameters. Around them, space itself seemed to shudder as the hegemony's weapons attempted to create zones where quantum manipulation would be impossible. Multiple hegemony dreadnoughts on approach, Diana reported. They're concentrating their fire on the research station in Sector 7. Civilian casualties imminent. Torres watched as the massive hegemony ships advanced, their new weapons creating visible distortions in space. They had learned from their previous encounters, spacing their ships to create overlapping fields of quantum disruption. "Take us in," Torres ordered. "Full quantum field engagement. Show them what happens when you try to cage reality itself." The Einstein's dream surged forward, its advanced systems already calculating the precise quantum states needed to counter the hegemony's attacks. As they approached the first collapse zone, Torres felt the subtle vibration that indicated their ship was existing in multiple states simultaneously. "Sir," Diana called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the hegemony flagship. Admiral Ixel is requesting to speak with you." Torres raised an eyebrow. Ixel had been one of the more moderate voices in the hegemony leadership. "Put him through." The alien admiral's image appeared, his scales showing patterns of distress. "Admiral Torres, you must withdraw. The Conservative Council has gone too far. These weapons, they're unstable. Our scientists warned us, but the Council wouldn't listen." As if to emphasize his point, one of the quantum collapse zones began to fluctuate wildly, its edges becoming jagged and unpredictable. The hegemony ships nearest to it started to show signs of structural stress. "Help us shut them down," Torres replied. "Your weapons are based on an incomplete understanding of quantum manipulation. They're not just dangerous to us, they're a threat to space-time itself." Ixel's scales shifted in what Torres had learned to recognize as resignation. The Conservative Council believes they can control it. They don't understand. His transmission cut off as one of the collapse zones expanded exponentially, engulfing two hegemony vessels. Their hulls twisted in impossible ways as the fabric of space-time began to tear. "All ships, fall back," Torres commanded across all frequencies. "The collapse is cascading. Prepare for emergency quantum phase shift." The Einstein's dream responded instantly, its quantum field expanding to create a buffer zone between the growing spatial distortion and the civilian ships. Torres watched as the ship's systems calculated the precise quantum states needed to contain the damage. "Sir," Diana reported, her voice tense, "we're detecting similar cascade failures across all engagement zones. The hegemony weapons are destabilizing simultaneously." Torres made a decision. "Broadcast on all frequencies. This is Admiral Torres of the UES Einstein's dream. All ships, execute emergency quantum sync with our field harmonics. We're going to attempt a synchronized phase shift to contain the collapse." It was a desperate gamble. The Einstein's dream would project its quantum field patterns to every ship in range, friend and foe alike, giving them a chance to match its quantum state and survive what was coming. "Hegemony vessels are responding," Diana announced. They're synchronizing with our field." Torres watched as ship after ship, human and hegemony alike, aligned their quantum states with the Einstein's dream. In that moment, facing a threat to reality itself, old rivalries meant nothing. The only thing that mattered was working together to prevent catastrophe. Phase shift in 3, 2, 1. The Einstein's dream executed its most complex quantum manipulation yet, not just shifting its own state, but helping to guide dozens of other ships through the process. The cascading collapse zones encountered the synchronized quantum fields and began to stabilize, their wild fluctuations gradually coming under control. As the crisis subsided, Torres looked out at the assembled ships, human quantum phase vessels alongside hegemony dreadnoughts, all having worked together to prevent disaster. "Open a channel to all ships," he ordered. When the connection was confirmed, he spoke clearly and firmly. What we just witnessed was the result of trying to fight against the nature of reality itself. But what we did to stop it, working together, sharing knowledge, trusting each other. That's the future we've been trying to show you. The response came from multiple hegemony ships simultaneously, their weapons powering down, their quantum disruption fields dissolving. The message was clear. They had finally understood that this technology wasn't about dominance, but cooperation. The breaking point had come and gone, and in its wake, something new had begun to emerge. Not through force of arms, but through the shared experience of facing destruction and choosing to work together instead. Dawn of a new era. 1 year after the quantum crisis, the Great Hall of the newly established Galactic Exchange hummed with activity. The massive chamber, built using quantum phase architecture, seemed to exist in multiple states at once, a living testament to the new era of cooperation between species. Dr. Sarah Chen walked through the hall, still amazed at how much had changed in such a short time. The incident with the hegemony's quantum collapse weapons had marked a turning point. What could have been a catastrophic war had instead become the catalyst for unprecedented collaboration. The Conservative Council had been replaced, and the hegemony itself had transformed from an imperial power into a leading partner in galactic scientific research. "Dr. Chen," a familiar voice called out. Admiral Ixel approached, his scales now showing the iridescent patterns of a scientific advisor rather than a military commander. "The latest results from the Joint Quantum Harmonics project are extraordinary. Your theory about universal quantum connectivity was correct." Sarah smiled, remembering the early days when such casual conversation between human and hegemony scientists would have been unthinkable. "The credit goes to your team's work on quantum field visualization. We never would have seen the pattern without it." They walked together toward the central auditorium, where representatives from over 300 species had gathered. The occasion was historic. The first demonstration of the quantum network, a revolutionary communication and transportation system that would connect the entire galaxy. "Hard to believe it's only been a year," Admiral Torres commented, joining them at the entrance to the auditorium. He had traded his military uniform for the formal attire of a diplomatic liaison. "The Einstein's dream is being retrofitted as a teaching vessel now. Seems more appropriate." Inside the auditorium, delegates from across the galaxy watched in wonder as the quantum network demonstration began. Massive holographic displays showed real-time quantum connections forming between star systems, creating pathways that would allow instant communication and eventually safe quantum phase travel for ships of all species. "The network is stable," announced Dr. James Martinez from the control center. "All quantum nodes are synchronized. We're ready for the first galaxy-wide quantum handshake." Sarah stepped onto the central platform, where representatives from every major species stood ready to activate their respective quantum nodes. The gesture was symbolic, but its meaning was profound. The galaxy working together to create something greater than any one species could achieve alone. "Quantum handshake initiating," the AI system announced, harmonizing fields across all participating worlds. The chamber filled with gasps of wonder as the quantum connections became visible, a web of shimmering energy linking every inhabited world. It was beautiful, but Sarah knew the real achievement wasn't technical. It was seeing former enemies standing together, sharing in the wonder of discovery. A young hegemony scientist, one of Sarah's most promising students, approached with a data tablet. "Professor, we're detecting something unexpected in the quantum field harmonics. The network, it's not just connecting our communication systems, it's creating the deeper resonance with space-time itself." Sarah studied the readings, her eyes widening. "The universe, it's responding to our cooperation. The quantum fields are naturally aligning, creating stable pathways we never could have engineered deliberately." The implications were staggering. The galaxy itself seemed to be embracing their efforts at unity, the quantum fabric of space-time strengthening their connections in ways they had never predicted. Perhaps, Ixel observed, his scientific training allowing him to grasp the significance. This is what your quantum phase ships were truly meant to teach us. Not that we could bend reality to our will, but that we could work in harmony with it, and with each other. The quantum network continued to evolve, its connections growing stronger as more worlds joined the harmonious field. Ships equipped with quantum phase technology could now travel safely through these naturally reinforced pathways, while the network itself facilitated instant communication and data sharing across the galaxy. We're receiving requests from unexplored regions of space, Torres reported, checking his quantum-linked display. Other civilizations have detected our network. They want to join. Sarah watched as new points of light appeared in the galactic display, representing civilizations reaching out across the vast distances to connect with the growing community. Humanity's breakthrough had done more than advance technology. It had opened the door to a new understanding of existence itself. The Conservative Council was right about one thing, she mused. Quantum phase technology did change everything, just not in the way they feared. We didn't use it to dominate. We used it to unite. The auditorium erupted in applause as the first messages began flowing through the quantum network, expressions of greeting, friendship, and shared purpose from thousands of worlds. The barriers between species were dissolving, replaced by a growing recognition of their fundamental connectedness. A group of children, human, hegemony, and several other species, ran past, playing with small quantum phase toys that let them share thoughts and feelings directly. They had never known a galaxy divided by fear and suspicion. To them, this new era of cooperation was simply the natural way of things. What's next? Torres asked, watching the children play. Where do we go from here? Sarah smiled, her mind already racing with possibilities. We've only begun to understand what we can achieve together. The quantum nature of reality itself is showing us new paths, new possibilities. This isn't just a new era for our civilizations. It's a new chapter in the story of consciousness itself. As if in response to her words, the quantum network pulsed with new energy, its connections growing stronger and more intricate. The galaxy was awakening to its own quantum nature, and every species was part of this grand evolution. The humans who had first dreamed of bending reality had discovered something far more profound. That reality itself was eager to be shaped by minds working in harmony. The impossible ships that had started it all were now museums and teaching vessels, reminders that the greatest breakthroughs come not from imposing our will on the universe, but from learning to dance with it. The dawn of this new era was just the beginning. Together, they would explore not just the physical cosmos, but the very nature of existence itself. And they would do it not as separate species, but as one quantum-entangled community, bound together by understanding, curiosity, and the shared dream of what might be possible. As Sarah looked out at the gathered representatives of a united galaxy, she remembered that failed experiment in a basement lab so many years ago. They had been trying to stabilize quantum states, never imagining that they would end up helping to stabilize the galaxy itself. The impossible had become possible, and the possible had become a door to something even greater. The age of division was over. The age of quantum harmony had begun.